The city froze in broad daylight when the black SUV exploded through a crowded intersection, scattering cars and sending terrified pedestrians running for cover. Sirens screamed in the distance. Helicopters circled above like hungry birds. News cameras rushed toward the chaos. For months, one name had haunted every street, every police briefing, and every evening broadcast. The city's most wanted criminal had struck again. But what nobody knew was that before the sun set, he would make the biggest mistake of his life. He would challenge a quiet single father walking his daughter home from school. And that father wasn't just another man trying to survive. He was the sharpest cop the city had ever known. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, courage, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, please like this video, share it with your friends, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the Dad Chronicles. Your support helps bring more emotional stories like this to life. The city of Cresthaven looked beautiful during the day. Sunlight reflected off glass towers. Children played in parks. Food vendors lined busy sidewalks. Office workers hurried through crowded streets carrying coffee cups and briefcases. To most people, it appeared like a normal thriving city. Yet underneath that bright surface lived fear. A criminal mastermind named Roderick Voss had spent years building an empire of crime that touched every corner of the city. Armed robberies, cyber thefts, smuggling operations, and mysterious disappearances all seemed to lead back to him. Police departments from neighboring states shared information about him. Federal agencies hunted him. Yet every attempt to capture him ended the same way. He vanished. While news anchors discussed Voss every night, a man named Garrick Rowan focused on a much smaller world. His world was 12-year-old Nova. Every morning before sunrise, Garrick packed Nova's lunch, braided her dark hair the best he could, and walked her to school whenever his schedule allowed. 5 years earlier, his wife had died after a sudden illness that shattered their family. Since then, Garrick had carried 2 impossible jobs. He was both father and mother. Protector and comforter. Teacher and friend. Most neighbors knew him only as a kind single dad who never missed school events. They saw him helping elderly residents carry groceries. They saw him coaching youth baseball on weekends. Few realized that behind his calm smile stood Detective Garrick Rowan, the investigator responsible for solving some of the city's most difficult cases. Unlike many officers, Garrick never sought fame. He rarely appeared in press conferences. He preferred evidence over attention and patience over glory. His colleagues often joked that he could solve puzzles nobody else even noticed. Yet even Garrick had never managed to bring down Roderick Voss. For nearly 3 years, he chased shadows. Every clue disappeared. Every witness became frightened. Every operation collapsed moments before success. Then one bright Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. School had just ended. The sky was clear blue. Warm sunlight covered the sidewalks. Children laughed as they streamed through school gates. Garrick stood waiting near the entrance, smiling as Nova ran toward him carrying a backpack nearly half her size. They walked together through downtown streets, talking about science projects and upcoming baseball games. For a few precious minutes, Garrick wasn't a detective. He wasn't chasing criminals. He was simply a father enjoying time with his daughter. Then a black SUV pulled to the curb. The vehicle looked ordinary, but Garrick instantly sensed something wrong. Years of police work had sharpened instincts that rarely failed him. The rear window lowered. Inside sat one of Voss's trusted lieutenants. The man smiled. A photograph slid from the window and landed on the pavement. The SUV drove away. Garrick picked up the photograph. His blood turned cold. The picture showed Nova walking into school that morning. Taken from a distance. Secretly. Watched. Threatened. For the first time in years, fear struck Garrick harder than any bullet. Not fear for himself. Fear for his daughter. That evening, he sat awake long after Nova had fallen asleep. The photograph rested on the kitchen table beneath a single lamp. Every possibility raced through his mind. Voss knew who he was. Voss knew where Nova went to school. Voss was sending a message. The criminal had stopped treating Garrick like an investigator. He was treating him like a target. The following morning brought another surprise. A package arrived at Garrick's home. Inside sat a single chess piece. A black king. Attached was a note. No signature. No fingerprints. No traceable evidence. Just one chilling message. The game has begun. Most people would have backed away. Most fathers would have requested reassignment. Most officers would have transferred the case. Garrick did none of those things. Because he knew something important. Criminals like Voss thrived on fear. The moment fear won, innocent people lost. Still, the pressure grew heavier each day. Nova noticed her father becoming quieter. His smile appeared less often. Dark circles formed beneath his eyes. She didn't know the details, but she understood enough to realize something dangerous was happening. One afternoon she left a note on his desk before school. It simply thanked him for always protecting her. Garrick read the note later that day while reviewing surveillance footage. His eyes filled with tears. That tiny piece of paper reminded him exactly why he couldn't stop. Not for promotions. Not for recognition. Not for revenge. For her. Days turned into weeks. The battle intensified. Voss launched distractions across the city. False leads flooded police departments. Anonymous tips wasted valuable resources. Coordinated crimes occurred simultaneously in multiple districts. The city became exhausted. News reports questioned whether law enforcement could ever stop him. Citizens began losing hope. Then Garrick discovered something nobody else had noticed. Across dozens of crime scenes, hidden within security timestamps, vehicle routes, and financial records, he found a pattern. Tiny inconsistencies. Small enough to escape attention. Large enough to reveal truth. Every operation pointed toward an abandoned shipping terminal near the harbor. The location seemed too obvious. Which meant it was probably real. Yet proving it required evidence. Gathering that evidence meant risking everything. For the next several days, Garrick worked almost non-stop. He slept little. Ate less. His fellow officers worried about him, but he remained focused. Meanwhile, Voss became increasingly reckless. Power had convinced him he was untouchable. He believed fear controlled the city. He believed everyone could be manipulated. Most dangerously, he believed Garrick was weakening. He couldn't have been more wrong. One brilliant morning just after sunrise, Garrick finally obtained confirmation. The shipping terminal wasn't merely a hideout. It was Voss's central command center. Millions of dollars in stolen assets flowed through the facility. Encrypted communications originated there. Key members of the criminal network gathered there daily. The evidence was overwhelming. Yet before police could move, disaster struck. Nova vanished. The phone call arrived shortly after noon. A trembling school administrator reported that Nova had never arrived home. Witnesses remembered seeing a vehicle nearby. Then nothing. The world stopped. Every sound disappeared. Every thought narrowed into one terrifying reality. His daughter was gone. Hours passed like years. Search teams spread across the city. Officers checked cameras. Roadblocks appeared. Helicopters searched from above. But Garrick understood something others didn't. This wasn't random. This was personal. Voss had finally revealed his true hand. The criminal wanted Garrick distracted. Broken. Desperate. Exactly what every parent becomes when their child disappears. Yet Voss underestimated one thing. A father's love can create extraordinary strength. Using every clue available, Garrick traced a communication route connected to the harbor terminal. He assembled a specialized team. No publicity. No media. No leaks. Only trusted officers. As afternoon sunlight poured across the waterfront, the operation began. The terminal looked abandoned from outside. Rust-covered metal structures. Broken windows reflected golden daylight. Silence hung over everything. Then officers moved. Within seconds, hidden guards appeared. Gunfire erupted. Chaos exploded across the facility. Yet Garrick kept moving forward. Every step carried one thought. Nova. He cleared warehouse after warehouse. Criminals surrendered. Evidence piled up. Computers were seized. Money was recovered. The empire began collapsing around them. Finally, deep inside the largest warehouse, Garrick found what he had been searching for. Nova. Alive. Frightened. But unharmed. The moment he saw her, every burden he carried seemed to disappear. She ran toward him. He held her tightly. For a brief moment, the detective vanished. Only a father remained. But the battle wasn't over. At the far end of the warehouse stood Roderick Voss. The criminal mastermind who had terrorized the city for years. The man who believed fear made him powerful. The man who thought threatening a child would break her father. Instead, he had awakened something stronger. Determination. The confrontation ended not with revenge, but with justice. Surrounded by officers and trapped by his own arrogance, Voss finally realized his empire was finished. The city's most wanted criminal had challenged the wrong single dad. Not because Garrick was stronger. Not because he was faster. But because love gave him something fear could never defeat. Purpose. In the weeks that followed, the city changed. Crime networks collapsed. Stolen assets were returned. Families finally felt safe walking streets again. News channels celebrated the operation that ended years of fear. Yet Garrick cared little about headlines. His greatest victory wasn't capturing Voss. It was sitting beside Nova at a sunny baseball field on a peaceful afternoon, watching her laugh without fear. Those simple moments meant everything. Because at the end of the day, true heroes aren't defined by arrests or awards. They're defined by the people they protect. And sometimes the strongest person in a city isn't the richest, most powerful, or most famous. Sometimes it's a tired single father who wakes up every morning determined to make life better for one child. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Dad Chronicles. Stories like these remind us that courage often looks ordinary until the moment it's needed most. Special request: comment, "A father's love never quits," if you believe love is the greatest source of strength in the world. As the sun slowly set over Cresthaven, golden light stretched across the skyline. Garrick and Nova walked home together beneath the warm evening sky. There were no sirens. No helicopters. No fear. Just a father and daughter moving forward one step at a time. And in that quiet moment, the city finally understood something it had forgotten for years. Evil may create fear, but love creates courage. And courage, when fueled by love, can change everything.